Welcome to the Market Musings podcasts, and in a market where gold is seemingly booming and doing very well, we welcome our guest today from gold development and exploration company Goldstone Resources, and the CEO, Emma Priestley, is with us today. Hi, Emma.
Hello, Mark. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you. And you?
I'm very well, thank you.
Good. And hi, Kenny.
Hi, Mark. Yep, still up here in Scotland, still raining. Nothing changes.
No, okay.
Yes.
Where are you actually, Mark?
I'm in York.
Oh, right, just up the road.
Yes, just up the road. Yes, not far away. Yes, yeah.
I'm just down the road in Derbyshire. There you go.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Oh, good. So,
and go, Mark. Sorry.
No, I was just going to say. So, yeah, welcome, Emma. Thank you for joining us. It's nice to have you on the podcast. And yeah, the podcast is really a chat about like we would meet down the pub or the bar, what have you. So, yeah, the floor is yours if you to sort of start and maybe give us some background on yourself and where you've come from, your history. Go back as far as you like if you want, and how you got into these sort of PLC companies.
How did I get here? Yes. I'd like to say by accident, but no.
Okay.
Or no, I should say it was all planned. But no, most of it was by accident. But there we go.
Yeah.
I think, no, I'd probably like to explain that how I got into mining, actually, which I've got to thank my tutor at school, who was a good Yorkshireman.
Okay.
He was my chemistry teacher. And because originally I was going into the Royal Air Force. And it was the time when the Air Force, I got a scholarship. They sent me to Canada for 3 months, and I came back thinking I was going to Cornwall. And it was when all the electronic navigational system came in. And so they asked me if I could go and do something for a couple of years whilst the backlog was sorting itself out.
Okay.
And I was just going to go home and work on the farm. And my tutor said to me, he says, "No, you're not." He says, "Young lady," he says, "you're going to learn a trade." And it was wonderful because those are the days when teachers could actually sort of tell you what to do, as opposed to now when I think teachers are a bit scared.
Yeah.
And he said, "Why don't you go and try mining?" Because we'd been down to Campbell School of Mines in Cornwall as part of our chemistry field trip to see metallurgy, physically doing something and actually what it was all about. And he said, "Why don't you go that?" So we rang up Campbell School of Mines. I did my interview over the phone. And in those days for Campbell, I had to do an induction course, a 3-week induction course before they let you on the course. So off I went, and after 2 years just doing the diploma in engineering, the Royal Air Force got back in touch with me and said, "Can you come now?" And by then I'd fallen in love with mining.
Right.
So I went underground as opposed to going up in the air.
Up in the air. What was your role going to be in the Royal Air Force?
I was going for navigator.
Navigator, right? Okay,
yeah.
Cool. Yeah,
I was. Yeah.
I must admit, I actually failed the medical. I was going in as an avionics engineer.
Really?
Royal Air Force as well. Yeah, around about 1992, I think, from memory. Yeah.
Okay. That makes you a little bit younger than me, then, I think. So
age is only a number.
That's very true. That is so true. I was trying to work it out. Yeah. No, it was. 1990, I went over to Canada for the Air Force. It was fantastic. And then, but anyway, I chose to go underground. And I did, because my first job was at South Crofty Tin Mine in Cornwall as a mine surveyor.
Okay.
So I'm actually hoping, truth be known, that little plug here for Richard Williams, he's going to bring Strongbow's going to get it back into production. And I've told him I want my job back. So when he does, I might be my bags packed, will be going back down to Cornwall again.
Yeah.
So, yeah, but no, from Cornwall. And I have to say here, I've had some wonderful bosses throughout all my life, and they've all had a great influence on me. My first boss being Kevin Ross, who's moved on to several other companies since then. But I got offered a job with a big mineral surveying practice called Grimley, because their number one client was Lord Hanson. And at that time, Lord Hanson owned Goldfields of South Africa, Amy Roadstone, Butterley Brick, London Brick, all of those wonderful companies. And they hadn't got any mining expertise. So I left South Crofty because, basically Kevin Ross told me to. He says, "This is your ticket out of Cornwall, Emma, get gone." And I spent a year with Grimley, where I learnt the art of valuation. And I do say the art of valuation because those mineral surveying practices do valuation in a very different way. It's not shares times price and what was a DCF that you learn to do. But very often, when you're doing it, looking at it from an estate's point of view and a valuation for a portfolio for sale, it's you can apply many different factors. But I have to say, it didn't suit me just being in London, and I packed my bags after 12 months and joined. I was at an old boys' lunch for Cornwall School of Mines. Do you remember David Williamson Associates? I don't know if that name rings a bell with you.
Not with me.
Okay, he was really the forerunner in the 90s he was the forerunner for all the junior mining sector in the 80s and 90s. He came out of Lehman Brothers, and really when that mining crash happened and all the exploration departments left all the mining houses, he started the writing research and raising money for the junior mining sector. And I was at a lunch, and he said, look, you need to get back into mining. And he got me involved with Mackay and Schnellman. And from there, I went over to Indonesia for 3 years and was as a mining engineer. But my job was drains. So I had to make sure, because these open pits over in Indonesia were wonderful. It was a ferronickel operation, and everything was just going off the side of the mountain into the sea. So my job was to make sure all the drains on the haulage roads were put in. Fantastic job. But I learned a lot. And then I worked in coal out there. And then after that, I did a stint in the Dominican Republic on a bauxite. And then I was in Africa quite a bit. And then I switched. Everybody thought it was fantastic because I got offered this job with Credit Suisse First Boston as a mining analyst.
Okay.
So I left my boots to go and sit behind a desk from dawn till dusk in Canary Wharf, and my boss was Damien Hackett, who was then, I think he's with Canaccord now. And Damien and I had an interesting time together. He'll say himself that I sort of didn't click because I was very technical and hands-on, and I had an interesting 12 months, let's put it that way. And I have seen Damien more recently and had a good catch up with him. And, he even said I wasn't really suited to that sort of the mining aspects, because after that I went back to David Williamson Associates, which then became VSA, and I looked at all the junior world. So I met all the rogues, the good ones, the bad ones, the crooks. Mm-hmm. 1 minute I was doing research, 1 minute I was raising money, we were doing corporate finance, everything. And it was out of that Lonrho came out. Because who was I with at the time? I was with Ambrian. And we were doing some deals for a private mining house that was looking for a home. And the Lonrho Africa cash shell came up on everybody's screens. And we went and presented to the major shareholder, which was J.R. Hambro. And he said Lonrho wasn't for sale. So we went away, and I was actually out for a drink with David Lanigas, fairly vexed because obviously we couldn't get a transaction through. And he said, what's wrong with you? And he phoned me up the next day and he said, did you say Lonrho to me? And I said, yes. And he says, that's a £20 million cash shell. I'm raising money for cash shells. And he said, do you want to regrow Lonrho again? And he says, and do you want to do it with me? So I left the city and joined David, and we grew Lonrho. And we had a fabulous time building it. It was just a shame it came to the end that it did, and it shouldn't have been sold to the Swiss. I'm speaking very openly here, the way it was, because Lonrho, I believe, should have been stronger. But anyway, it was what it was. But it was through Lonrho that Africa became my back door, my office, and I don't think there was one country we didn't visit as a board to look at various deals. But it wasn't just mining. We were in agriculture, aviation, ports, hotels, you name it, we were doing it. And from there, it was always quite interesting because everybody thinks that mining is such a complicated business. And it's not. I have to say, the world of aviation was the most complicated business I have ever looked at in my life.
Okay.
But it was a sad day when it came to an end, but life moves on. Mm-hmm. And I helped a few companies privately do some transactions. I was involved in a successful sale and purchase of a major logistics company in Africa to a big company. And then I got involved with Stratex. and Stratex sadly had its ups and downs with its life, and it's now in the hands of Tim, and I hope he's doing very well in Cameroon. But out of Stratex, I ended up with the Goldstone on my lap, and when I looked at it and I looked at the address and everything that's going on, I thought, hang on a minute, this is actually a good project, even for me, with my skills. I said, this looks a good project, and so I took it. And my chairman at the time then was, we went through a few, but I had Neil Gardine on side, who was a wonderful South African geologist, and we said, right, come on, we need to do something different here. And Bill True actually called me, following on from a phone call from where we were chatting earlier, from Philip Richards. And because Philip had recommended that Bill gets in touch with me, because Philip thought that, I could really do something with Goldstone, and with Bill's skills, with all the mines he's brought into production, I think it's 32 around the world, that we could make a difference. So that's what we've done. And I'm thoroughly enjoying it, actually bringing something into life, because look, I'm not a geologist. I am actually a surveyor by ticket. But I did qualify as a chartered mining engineer as well. I'd done. And we're pulling together quite nicely as a team to actually make Goldstone, something different on AIM.
Cool. And just going back to the start, Emma, in Cornwall, where did you say it was in Cornwall?
Where? South Crofty.
South what?
South Crofty Tin Mine.
Yes.
So South Crofty Tin Mine is now in a company called Strongbow.
I've got it. Oh, Redruth.
Yeah, you got it. Yes. Yes. Don't say Redruth. Gosh, no, Camborne.
Camborne.
Don't ever say that South Croft is in Redruth.
Oh, right. It came upon.
You'll upset every Cornishman now. Yes.
Well, I have a Cornish father. And I just typed it into Google there, and it came up with Redruth. But I'll beg forgiveness on that.
You will have to. Yeah. Even your father would tell you so.
Yeah,
Camborne and Redruth. Ruth. Gosh, no, that's a real Derby day, that is.
But no, my father was from North Cornwall, so St Austell, if you know the area. I don't know.
Oh, that's the China Clay District.
The China Clay District, exactly. Yeah, in fact, he worked for them in his younger days. One of his first jobs, he worked there. Yeah, so yeah, great.
Just moving back to Goldstone, Emma. Obviously Ghana is one of the better jurisdictions in Africa working. It's probably top 3 and 4. It seems some reasonable infrastructure, and obviously there's quite a lot of operating mines within the near vicinity of Goldstone.
There is. We seem to have quite one of the major ones as my neighbour. It's Obuasi.
Yeah,
them coming back on stream has been a real boost as well, because it's the basics as well, because it means a lot of the services are readily available, and all your providers, even for getting fuel for the drilling operation and everything else, everything just becomes a lot easier when you've got a major mining company on your doorstep.
Yeah, is that the 70 million ounce? I mean, that's a massive resource.
It is. Well, they've only got she says, they've only got 36 million left in situ underground. They've already, look, Obuasi's been mined out for in excess of 200 years.
Yeah.
But they've mined from obviously surface down to a kilometre. But their next development is obviously 1 kilometre down again, ultimately down to 2 kilometres. So they've invested a lot of money, Anglo have, and they had a tough time. Look, Ghana had a tough time a while ago, don't forget, with all the illegal miners, but Obuasi especially. So they've pulled through that and cleaned it up and got the decline sunk, and they're going to be up and running at full production fairly soon.
Good news. So just from a Goldstone point of view, can you give us a helicopter view of the projects and what the roadmap is probably for the next year? If you can.
For the next year, yes, we'll be full operation this time next year. We really will. Look, what Goldstone is we've got 2 historic mines. and there's one historical one which is called the Acrikerry mine, which is underground, and that was abandoned in 1909. Now, the old timers who were mining it for about 5 years, during those few years of production, they did manage to extract 75,000 ounces at a recovered grade of 24 grams a ton, which is not to be sniffed at. No. Now, the interesting thing on Acrikerry is when I started to pull together all the records, I went to Kew, actually, to our National Archive, because I learned that there was a lot of records in there. And I've got all the old mine managers' reports. And when you read the reports, you do wonder if there wasn't a little bit of arson going on at the time, because the miners were two strikes. And the second strike in 1909, they'd asked for a pay rise because the Obuasi miners were getting more money than the Acrikerry miners. And the shareholders said no. And a couple of months later, there's an inrush of water. So you never know these boys, if there could have been a little bit of sabotage down there. So here we are. Nobody's been back in it since. And the town of Acrikerry was right on the outskirts of the town of Acrikerry, so it is slightly built up. But we are trying to access the mine. But look, you've got to remember there's 110 years of ground. There has been a bit of galamsey activity, obviously, on the surface. So trying to access the old workings is tricky. Okay, I'm going to use the word tricky. We are looking at various things, but we're more than likely going to drill on that property just to add. There's already 24 holes, diamond holes, that have been drilled, and they gave some exciting results because we re-logged them just to make sure that everything that the previous companies had done was correct. We did have a couple of meters of 51 grams a ton. We've got 10 meters of 17 grams a ton, and we've got another 10 meters of 11 grams a ton. So look, we know the gold's there, but we do need to tidy up the project so that we can try and pull together some sort of a resource on it. The other historical mine, although it's not that historical because it was a pit that was sunk in 2002, 2003, is a further 6 kilometres up and a long strike from Acrikerry. So we're now, look, we are within 10 kilometres of Obuasi. But look, Hamasi was mined out by Ashanti Goldfields before it merged with Anglo Gold. And they did a small, shallow open pit, obviously extracting the oxides, which was actually, they were feeding their mill that they were building at the time at Obuasi. And they went down, the deepest it went down was about 50 meters, and they extracted 52,000 ounces of gold at 2.5 grams a ton. So again, not to be sniffed at for a simple operation, which was a simple open pit, free dig. So your operating costs are not that excessive. Okay, they treated it down at their plant down the road, so they were tracking it 15 kilometers. But nevertheless, our small heap leach that we're going to be putting in, it is a simple operation. So we're bringing Hamasi into production. That's the oxide cap that's sitting on top of the 600,000 ounce JORC resource. And obviously, we've just announced that we're a drilling program because we want to increase the mineable resource for the south pit that we're bringing into production. And then obviously we will continue doing that drilling along the Hamasi trend to obviously increase the mineable resource of the other two pits. So we're bringing that into production. Ultimately, there will be an underground mine at Hamasi because the JORC resource goes down to about 200 meters, 250 meters at the moment. It is open at depth. A lot of the open holes, again, you're talking grams, 8 grams. 16 grams, 15 grams, 11 grams. So we know we're in the gold. So that will be Hamasi. So look, we've got two mines starting off open pit. Acrikerry will obviously want to reopen the old underground mine and get in there and strengthen the balance sheet, and then obviously we will look at other things as well.
And obviously, the all-in cost is pretty low as well, Emma. The first production phase? Our
costs are, originally, last year we were obviously going out for 6.9 million. But that would be building the, that was, for all the pits, and also to bring the process plant together right the way through from mining it through to a gold room. Look, as we all know, leading up to Christmas, the world mining wasn't attractive. People were not interested in investing, and our market cap was dire. Let's face it. I mean, we were tiddling along as a penny dreadful. So I sat down with Ben and I said, right, what do we need to do? I said, to get this baby into production. And he said, well, we don't need to build the gold room. We don't need the elution, the gold room. Let's just get it to the loaded carbon, and we can sell the loaded carbon either to one of the mines in country, or there is an international market for it. I was actually talking to a group about offtake finance for loaded carbon, and I was quite surprised at the prices that were being offered for it. It's not as heavily discounted as I was expecting. So we reduced the capex dramatically. We just needed 3 million to get into production. And then obviously the rest of it, we will either build that plant from cash flow, so it will take a little bit longer, or, who knows, we do have those warrants sat there, it's, you can't ignore them. And maybe my shareholders we might do something with those.
Yeah, you've got to love. I like the warrant model myself, I must admit. If I see a company raising money and there's warrants, it's always a big tick for me, because it's future cash generation for the company.
It is, and
depends on the price, of course, I suppose.
Yeah, well, they've got a strike price of 3p.
You're sitting about 8 at the moment, I think. So it's been quite a good rise over the last couple of months. Obviously, the gold price strengthening, helping it. Where do you see personally gold price going, Emma? Have you any opinion?
I do. I think it is going north. And that's, look, we've just all got to look, it's the state of the world. You've just got to look at the political situation. You've got to look at how much gold is actually accessible. I mean, look at some of the, the bullion sites where people go and buy all their gold bars. I actually had a look the other day. You try and buy a 1 ounce bar of gold in the UK at the moment. It's, it's like hen's teeth. Obviously people still buy gold sovereigns and Krugerrands, etc. But no, gold is a hot commodity, and people are going back into it. And look how many new gold mines are coming on stream at the moment. Not many.
Yeah,
no. Not many.
Yeah, it's definitely. I must imagine. I do a bit of silver buying, and it's the same as silver at the moment as well. Trying to get coins and bars, it's getting trickier and trickier. But
it is. But people still prefer gold, because then you haven't got the VAT issue.
It's true.
There's the ratio. They still reckon the ratio between silver and gold's goes up a bit. I think it was about 100 to 1, but I think it's closed a bit now. So it has. I've not checked for a while, but no, it's a really interesting project. Obviously, we had Charlie on from SI, and Charlie gave his view of it, and Charlie's very, very enthusiastic about it. Whereas I might actually have a listen again, because he knows his stuff, Charlie. He's a good guy to have on your side. So you mentioned production. So what's your target for production? You said next year, or within a year? Sorry,
within a year. Look, at the moment, we've got everything planned over 5 years to have a production of about 14,400 ounces per annum. But we are, look, I'm sitting down with the guys, because we may look, the way the gold price is, obviously it alters everybody's plans. So we may be revising that, and we will be updating the market on that. But I think we're going to be more than likely upping our production. And as we've got a drilling program, we've got a great gold price, so we may as well crack on.
Definitely.
And what is Ghana like as a jurisdiction? And I presume COVID has affected operations somewhat, has it, Emma?
Yes, it has, and we can't. It hasn't affected us as mining hasn't suffered as much as other sectors in other countries. Let's face it, and thank goodness. Look, Ghana didn't go the same way as South Africa and make all the mines closed down. Ghana saw mining as an essential business, so everybody carried on. And because we're in development stage, we were able to continue with a lot of activities. But of course, it closed us down, because we were right in the middle of doing our environmental impact assessment, finishing it off and getting the application in. So it kind of ground everything to a halt because Ghana did go on complete shutdown for 8 weeks, as we did here in the UK. And then, getting everything warmed up again, it doesn't immediately go back into, everybody's working the same as they were. It's taken a while. And as I said to a shareholder the other day, the other thing you've got to remember is Ghana has also awarded 14 other mining leases. Okay. So, the EPA is a little bit busy. So we've just got to wait and be patient, and we're in the queue.
Yeah.
So, and I'm hoping, and I do mean it, I'm hoping that within the next 4 weeks we shall have it.
Okay, that's good. And in general, is Ghana a good place to do business?
Yes, it is. It is.
Okay.
And I can speak from that also non-mine, because going back to my Lonro days as well, we had businesses in Ghana that we were looking at, and it is a good jurisdiction to work in and do business.
Okay.
And the Ghanaians always smile. They're very, very happy people.
I like to hear.
Yeah.
Goldstone, are you guys just going to focus purely on the 2 projects you've got in Ghana, or are you looking elsewhere, or are you open to other projects in other jurisdictions?
Open to other projects, and sure. I mean, there's lots of things that Bill and I have looked at over the course of the last 12 months. Things didn't fit, but as we said, part of that was because mining just wasn't attractive. And if you were trying to do certain deals, there was either silly numbers being looked at or people just weren't interested in backing you. Look, for the time being, our focus is to get this, to get Hamasi into production. And then obviously we will be, make no bones about it. Of course, we'll look at other things.
Good stuff. Mark, do you think we should ask Emma, maybe do the 60-second challenge?
Yes, that was on my mind. That was on
your mind. I'll let you run with it then.
What's this?
Well, Emma, we didn't warn you, and that is our fault.
No.
Do apologise, and you can tell us to go away if you want. But when we have like a CEO or director of a company, we sometimes ask them if they'd like to do like a 60-second pitch, almost to investors as to why Goldstone is a good investment opportunity. So if you are comfortable doing that, we can. What do you think?
I can give you a few seconds on it.
A few seconds. Yeah, okay. Right. Right.
My story isn't big enough for 60 seconds. It's quite simple. My 60 seconds. Okay. Very simple.
Righto. Well, I'll count you in from 3 then, and then you can.
Oh, really?
You can. Yeah. And then you can tell us. Okay, you ready? All right. In 3, 2, 1, off you go.
Thank you. Goldstone. We're positioned in Ghana, which is one of the darlings of Africa for investing in. The government is very pro mining, having just awarded in the last 12 months 14 mining licenses, of which we are one. So we're busy pushing ahead to get our environmental permit in place, but we are in the delicatessen queue along with all the others for getting that out. So that is the postcode. I would say we have a very good one. Then we have the board. That is the second thing. We have a very active board, although I'm the only executive director. But I have and Bill True, who can put his name and hang his hat to over 30 gold mines that he has brought into production worldwide. And he and his other businesses, he's supported by a company called MAED, which is Design, Build, Engineering, Procurement. And he has lent his support through that company to us. And that is why I was very happy to bring him into Goldstone so that we could actually turn the Hamasi and Akrokeri deposits into production as quickly as possible. So that brings me into the 2 deposits, which are Hamasi and Akrokeri. They're 2 historic mines. One is underground, one is open pit currently, and will be underground in the near future. The Akrokeri underground mine was operated 120 years ago. It was abandoned in 1909. And the old timers then were in production for about 45 years, extracting gold of 75,000 ounces at a recovered grade of 24 grams a tonne, which isn't to be sneered at when we look at some of these mines that are coming on stream at some of them about 1 gram a tonne. So if we can get back into those workings, we'd be very excited to pick up where the old timers put their tools down. The Hamasi pit, which lies 6 kilometres along strike, northeast from Akrokeri, is going to be a small open pit operation, and we're going to copy and paste what Anglo Gold Ashanti did back in 2002, where they mined a small pit extracting 52,000 ounces at 2.5 grams a tonne. This is an oxide cap that we're going to be mining, and we're going to be going along strike. We've got a 4-kilometre strike, which does contain a JORC resource of 602,000 ounces down to about 200 metres. Extending that, we actually do have an 8-kilometre mineralised strike, which is known as the Hamasi Trend. So obviously we'll be looking to extend this JORC resource along that as time goes on. But the Hamasi project, we completed a feasibility study on last year, a definitive economic plan, and that has given us the economics and the support from the Ministry of Mines to award us the mining lease on it, which was awarded to us in January. And now we're very actively, as I've said before, getting the environmental permit so that we can actively start mining, bring this little project into production, and start to make our shareholders a little bit of money.
Okay, so that was 3 minutes and 14 seconds.
Yeah.
But
No, it wasn't.
No, it was 60 seconds. That was very good, very nice summary. Thank you, Emma.
There you go.
Yeah,
So hopefully it will create a little bit of interest, and I'm pleased you took an interest to interview me.
No, absolutely.
We've done about 50, 60
more than
podcasts.
50, yeah.
Is it more than that now? Yeah. We've only been going 3 or 4 months, and we just realised last week we've not actually had a female on at all.
No, blimey.
And we thought we need to sort this out. So we happened to be talking to Charlie, and Charlie says, "Emma will come on, no problem." So I appreciate the fact that you've come on and allowed us to get the monkey off our back, so to speak. But no, you probably beat most of the men hands down anyway. So
no, sure. No, thank you very much indeed.
That's
good, and hopefully we can all meet in person one day soon.
Yes, that'd be nice, wouldn't it?
Yeah, it'd be good to get you back on, nice. maybe 6 months or something, see how things are progressing.
That would be good, wouldn't it?
Take it from there. But thanks for your time anyway, Emma.
Thank you very much, Kenneth. Thank you very much, Mark.
Thank you, Emma.
Lovely.
Yep, great to talk.
Lovely. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye. Thank you for listening to another podcast from Market Musings with Fairbairn and Russell. Tune in next time.